Hello and welcome to Shakespeare Reviews, the show where we review adaptations of Shakespeare's plays presented for the American and international cinema. Let's not forget about them. Today's film under discussion is the 1999 teen American romantic comedy 10 Things I Hate About You, written by Karen McCullough Lutz and Kirsten Smith and directed by Gil Younger. This film launched the careers of three of the more notable actors of the last 20 years, Julia Stiles, Heath Ledger, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It also co-stars Larry Miller and Larissa Oleynik. It's based on The Taming of the Shrew, the love story, domestic tragedy of Petruchio and Kate. Now, in this version, new student Cameron is smitten with Bianca. In order to get around her father's strict rules on dating, he attempts to get bad boy Patrick to date Bianca's ill-tempered sister, Kat. The film is titled after a poem written by Kat about her bittersweet romance with Patrick. Much of the filming took place in the Seattle metropolitan area. Let's discuss.
No, excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I try.
Okay. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
Really a surprising film at the time, I think. Because...
Really? In what way?
Well, it was at a time when they were doing a lot of films that were, they were trying to recapture the magic of John Hughes from the 80s with kids films, and most of them, let's just say, sucked. I mean, they were not good. There were late 90s. There were a lot of teenage films that were just, oh my dear God, with a few exceptions that made it big, like the She's All That, or Can't Hardly Wait kind of thing. That
Can't Hardly Wait. Oh my God!
You
had to bring up that Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
Can't hardly wait.
A few that just kind of flew a little under the radar, like Empire Records, and a couple of things like that just were.
You are just taking me down the memory hole,
right?
Here, mate.
That really
this is grand.
That's all of these started careers in many ways.
They really did.
It was partly because they were just so popular, but there were also a ton of them that really sucked. And now, but a lot of the...
Tell us your real feelings. I really want to know.
Well, and that's true with any genre. You get a few good hits, and then there are all these copycats that, they just want to try to make a quick buck. They don't really know what they're doing.
Well, this is what, 2 years later, after Romeo plus Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, which I'm sure we're going to get to at some point.
Oh yes, we will.
You look like you have feelings about that one.
That's feelings is a good, nice way to put it. Yes.
Do you have Rosencrantz and Guildenstern feelings on that one?
Once again, that's a nice way to put it.
I am looking forward to the rewatch with you of that one, because my feelings over time are vastly different than what they were the first time I saw that picture.
Really?
Obviously this episode we're not talking about that, but just since we're on the teen movie genres of the 1990 conversation, as a teenager who liked Shakespeare, and thus this movie was aimed at me at the time, in 97, 98, whenever it happened. I was the target audience for that, other than, all the young ladies who were in love with Leonardo DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. And yet I hated that picture. Mm-hmm. I hated it. I felt it moved around too much. I felt it was trying to do too much with things. I thought it was trying to be too clever. But fast forward 20 years, and I quite enjoy it. I'm like, oh, this is really good. You can see he's doing a lot with a little, actually. And I'm wondering if with the passage of time, are you going to come around the same way of thinking as I did on that one?
I'll be impressed if that happens.
So this was digression number 1 in today's conversation.
Yeah, so for those of you keeping score.
How many more?
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a thing. I mean, because
I didn't take us down this one either. Andrew did.
I did. I started to. I didn't mention that film on purpose, but you kindly brought it up in the list. But no. I mean, it was a
I love
time
my job.
when you had a lot of. It was a resurgence of the teenager film genre, and there were a few successes, a lot of failures, like I said. But this one was such a surprise because. And unlike the standard teenage film, this one, it really tried some new stuff, and I think they were very successful in a lot of ways. I mean, so much so that later on it was parodied in other films.
And it spawned its own TV series, not right away.
True.
10 years later, when the first round of nostalgia started setting in.
Very true. Very true.
It's just, oh my goodness.
And
So,
yeah.
Taming of the Shrew and 10 Things I Hate About You. Let's start discussing it for real. Let me kick this off real quick. I love all of the little odes to the original Taming of the Shrew they're throwing in here. It's Padua High School. His name is Verona, because Petruchio comes from Verona. They update his name to Patrick, but Katerina and Bianca remain exactly the same. I love how much of the original Shrew is in here, even in just homage and passing. I think it is quite brilliant that way.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, the feeling I got with it is that they took Taming of the Shrew and took the feeling scene for scene and said, this is what they're trying to accomplish in this scene, this is what they're trying to say in that scene, and then they modernized it and wrote their own scene for it. So it's not
made every character 10 to 15 years younger.
Yeah, and they did all of that, but they still, without following the original story too much at all, they kept the feelings, the emotional sway that happened during Taming of the Shrew, in such a good broad strokes way that just worked. I mean, you felt the same highs and lows as they went, without just rewriting a whole new thing.
1000% I agree with you on that, my friend. This is a beautiful template for how adaptations can and probably should be done. More of a mood piece. Let's capture the same feeling without trying to do shot for shot for shot Gus Van Sant remakes of Psycho.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, in this, the teenagers, and they play on the concept that teenagers, everything is life and death. Everything is incredibly high and low emotional peaks and valleys, far more so than at any other point in your life. And they do it so brilliantly and beautifully. And in the original Taming of the Shrew, Petruchio forces Kate to go through those incredibly high and incredibly low emotional peaks and valleys because he is not a good person. He is possibly a sociopath, and he is definitely a mentally abusive person. But you take that, you translate it into high school, where it is already an emotionally abusive situation.
Yes.
Because teenagers, and I'm not sure if you know this, friends at home. Andrew, give me the one shot. Give me the one shot here. No.
Oh, right.
All right. Teenagers are terrible people, and that's a hot take from Shakespeare. Teenagers are terrible people. Take it from me, reformed teenager. I was a teenager, I got over it. But yeah, teenagers, not good, not nice. Some of them are okay. Not many. Back to you, Andrew.
That's a good PSA right there. I like that.
Yeah. And I don't know if the people at home know that.
No,
That teenagers are kind of crap.
Well,
and as a teenager at the time, I would have said no.
But to be fair, I don't think you can call them bad human beings. It's creatures that are trying to understand what being a human being is, so that they can try to manage it.
Yeah, but they make such terrible horrible choices on purpose.
But look at their role models. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. This is 2020.
I know.
We are seeing grown adults have conversations involving name calling and also saying, "Nuh-uh." So it's just
so
like,
yeah. I mean, I want to
You know
give him
what?
some slack here on that.
you know what? Point retracted. Give me the one shot again. Give me the one shot again.
Fair enough.
Hi. Teenagers are not terrible people. They have terrible role models showing them how to become terrible people. This is Will Shakespeare with your PSA. Back to you.
Oh, mercy. Okay.
Thank you for laughing.
No problem. No, okay. So back to the film now.
Yeah, sure.
Right. The film, yes, the film.
Did we ever stop talking about it?
Now, what has made a huge shock about this film? Another thing that makes this such a huge surprise is that Gil Younger, the director, first film directed. First film he directed.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he directed
Bravo.
TV, and honestly, as far as films go, he directed a lot of TV before, and he directed a lot of TV after. I mean, it's a very character-driven approach, and you know, a lot of TV directors have trouble making that jump to movies. But
Absolutely. And vice versa.
yeah, and vice versa. And I think this really shows what they don't all have that problem. I mean, I think taking this as a very character-driven film and making it personal like that worked, but having the scope and the grandeur of a film managed to accomplish. And I think that was really, really well done. And also, you know, Karen McCullough and Kirsten Smith, who you mentioned earlier, also that was their early writing debut thing too. So, I mean, afterwards, they're responsible for movies such as Legally Blonde, Ella Enchanted,
great.
and of course, another one we're going to be doing, She's the Man.
So, you know what all of those have in common?
Oh, what? Please tell me.
Musical numbers.
Oh, God, yeah, you're right. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Legally Blonde has the whole bend and snap dance sequence. Goodness gracious.
Ella Enchanted,
She's the Man.
sure, yeah, did have some.
Oh, Ella Enchanted has several.
Yeah.
But they have a full dance number at the end.
Yeah.
But they had Somebody to Love
Yes.
at the Giant Bar. I mean, yes, musical numbers. And this one, of course, well, let me just say it to you, Andrew. You're just too good to be true.
There's
I'll keep
that.
my
And I
eyes
mean,
off of
and making it, I mean, I think all of these, what they had in common was they were, in a way, they were serious films that didn't take themselves seriously.
You know what? That's exactly it. They have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
The setting out to make a great product, but without being precious about it.
Yes.
None of those films are precious. And consequently, they had enough going well for them that they were able to be good
Yeah.
and also be considered pretty good art, in my opinion. This one is just phenomenal. I adore this movie.
Yeah. And think about the cast. I mean, think about how, Heath Ledger's first American film. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
and it shows.
yes, but
like,
I mean,
"Hi,
but it
I'm
works.
Heath
I mean, you
Ledger."
can tell he's a very good actor. I mean, it's a little rough, but
Yeah.
you can tell. I mean, there's some good stuff in there, and of course, Julia Stiles certainly helped her career. And
absolutely.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt and David Krumholtz before, you know, Numbers and all of that fame that he achieved. And
Yeah, this was post first Santa Claus movie.
Yes.
For David Krumholtz.
Yes.
Pre Santa Claus 2, which I'm going to say is possibly the apex of his career.
yes, okay,
Santa Claus 2.
okay, fair enough. Now, of course, you have.
Don't at me, David Krumholtz.
I'm not
you're
saying
a
it.
fantastic actor. I have nothing but love and respect for you.
Also, Allison Janney, who before The West Wing.
Yeah, I think this was the last project she did
Yeah.
before starting to shoot West Wing, because
Yeah.
this came out during West Wing season 1.
Yes. Yeah, but it was filmed before.
Oh yeah, before. Yeah,
Well,
but-
actually, I don't know. They did the pilot earlier, so but it was around there. But
Yeah, I mean it's all in that. So she might have gone pilot of West Wing to 10 Things I Hate About You and then back to West Wing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're at the same point. So you have C.J. Craig, you have
Yes.
Dancing the Jackal, C.J. Craig
Yes.
in this
And
movie.
of course, she later won an Oscar, and of course, so did
Yes,
Heath
as she
Ledger. So
should.
you got a couple of future Oscar winners in here, and you've got some good quality acting going on here.
You've got Larry freaking Miller.
Yeah,
You have Larry Miller in this. He has the best lines in this movie. And which is great. You don't often see that in teenage movies or movies for kids. It's like the kids have the one-upsmanship on the adult. Let's take Breakfast Club, which is still regarded as like, oh, this is high art. This,
Yes.
You mentioned trying to recapture the John Hughes spirit earlier. The vice principal does not have the best lines. The kids have the best lines against him. In this one, though, I would argue that Mr. Stratford has... Oh, by the way, did you like the last name
yes,
of the
yes,
family?
yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Mr. Stratford has some of the best lines in the film. I have a few of them right here. Let me just bring it
yeah.
up on my screen. Oh, yes. Mr. Stratford, it's just a party, and hell is just a sauna. It's like, come on! These are fantastic and brilliant. He knows the 411. He knows, he has all of it, and he has in almost throughout the best one-liners throughout. They give it to him.
Yeah.
Fantastic stand-up comic, Larry Miller, and comic actor. And you also see him, of course, in Pretty Woman and Ella Enchanted, to name another film by these filmmakers. He is one of those go-to good luck charm guys.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Yes, yes. I mean, you put him in a film and feed him some good lines, and you're going to have a good film. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, he is one of those people who elevates the actors around him, and having him with all of these teenagers, I'm going to say probably, I don't know for sure, probably helped put them at ease with him, because he is a very easygoing, jocular figure who is like, we're just having a good time, we're getting to play pretend for a living and make jokes, and let's do this. And it would certainly put Julia Stiles, who already had a pretty decent career coming into this, and the young lady playing her sister, at ease. And then, of course, Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He had scenes with all of them, and just he gets to be the buffoon, allowing you to not have to reach that height. Just focus on your lines.
Yeah.
And it takes so much pressure off of younger actors for that to happen. So he was almost, let's say, a gift to the younger performers from the filmmakers themselves. That is my guess.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, I following up on that, David Krumholtz, who later, when he was asked about the film and why it was so successful, he said that one of the things that made it so successful was, let's see, the quote is, a unified chemistry throughout the ensemble. That everybody just got along so well. I mean, that they were that they were just having fun. You know, when they weren't filming, they were hanging out and having a great time. All of them, without exception.
Yeah.
And it was just that chemistry really translated in the to the film. That oh yeah, I mean, even I think Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles even dated a little bit during filming. So I mean, it was that type of chemistry where, hey, we're all friends, we're getting along, and it shows. I mean, I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic, because sometimes casts just do so well together and it comes up on stage, and then sometimes casts don't get along at all together, and it also works out really well on stage. It's just it's those emotion translates.
It's the thing of, can you work together? Because
That's a good
also
point.
there are brilliant exceptions to point out of casts getting along great, and then the movie is crap. I'm looking at you, Ocean's 12.
That wasn't a movie.
Seriously.
That was a reunion they filmed.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, up to the point when they made Ocean's 13, George Clooney was going around on the press tour subtitling it, Ocean's 13, the one we should have made last time. It's just like, brother, you know it.
Yeah.
You know it. But, I mean, that was not a good picture. It's a fun thing to watch only if you're watching the first one and the third one. But you see so much of it with beloved properties, be it film or television, where the cast genuinely has a high regard for each other that carries through, as you were saying, onto screen. And they last the test of time, such as West Wing. That cast is famously all in love with each other. Or Battlestar Galactica's remake. That cast loves each other. They hang out with each other. They're on Zoom chats all the time with each other right now. Star Trek The Next Generation, same thing. They adore each other. Or The Lord of the Rings. I mean, the Hobbits all hang out together all the freaking time, apparently. And then they get Orlando Bloom involved and Ian McKellen and John Rhys Davies whenever possible. And
Well, you spend a few years together, you know.
John, I know. Yeah, you all moved to New Zealand together.
For a long
summer. Really much is. And then you have these pieces of intellectual property, these pieces of art that you can feel the love pouring through it because there was love at every level. There's love on the script. As you said, they take each scene and break it down into what is the mood trying to accomplish. And that carries through, that permeates. The director knew how to work with teenagers and just get the most out of all of them. The actors all had a huge and fond regard for each other, and every day was fun. And that comes through, and you feel it, and you're just like, yeah, this is a fun time. Let's rock this. I can't say enough positivity about this, but also, picture this. Seattle, 1998. During the making of 10 Things I Hate About You. Imagine, if you will, you're in the marching band on the field at Stadium High School. Now, Padua High School for the purposes of this picture. And Heath Ledger goes run skipping over the stands. And you just see him gliding. You're like, the hell is this? That is some of the magic of this film, because it's one of my favorite visuals of this picture, of just him run skipping as he goes.
And I think that's one of the things. I mean, it's the visuals that they captured so well in a film that's very character driven. I mean, when you get both of those in there, it's a good combination for a great film.
Now, with his look, do you think he was trying to be Jim Morrison?
It would be hard to argue that he wasn't.
Yeah, especially knowing his trajectory over the next 10 years.
There is that. There is that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so sad. But, yeah, I feel like he had a little bit of the love of Jim in him.
Well, if you're going for the bad boy look, that like you did for the film, it's difficult to do much better.
And if you've got an amazing head of hair, which he did.
Yeah. I mean, you get the longer hair, you go Morrison. You get the shorter hair, you go James Dean. I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are not wrong.
Those are the main options with variations. I mean, now
that's what you do.
Now, the other great thing about this film, I mean, of course, you have the acting and the visuals, but the music. I mean,
so great,
so inspired, and so diverse. I mean, of course, the main group, Letters to Cleo, in there that make an appearance. But I mean, Joan Jett, Bare Naked Ladies, early, before they were really huge.
Well, this is when they were exploding. This is the same period of If I Had $1 Million.
Yeah. Yes.
This is the same, and 1 Week.
Yes.
1 Week became
right around
the
that time.
number one song in America around this period.
But when they put the music in, it was right when they were just starting to explode. So it was interesting. George Clinton.
I Want You to Want Me.
Salt and Pepper, Notorious B.I.G., Thompson Twins, and Save Ferris. I mean, what a strange grouping of music, but it all flowed so well. I mean, it worked on so many levels. It was, it wasn't taking the music as a singular approach, a one-hit wonder to just kind of keep emphasizing. It was like, let's play the field, let's run the gauntlet, let's do it all. And
Exactly.
it all worked. I'm trying to think of any song that was a little rough or a little off, and I can't think of one.
No, it is a terrific album. The album itself of the soundtrack of the film was on Billboard's top 200 albums for 7 weeks, peaked at number 52.
Which, in the late 90s, that was starting to not be a common occurrence with movie soundtracks.
Yeah. No, and oh my goodness gracious. I think one of the only other ones, two other films of the same period would be able to probably have said that. And I don't know because I'm, lazy and not looking it up. But I would imagine that Romeo plus Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann film, heretofore mentioned in this program today, probably got up there a bit because it had a bunch of fantastic music, as well as the soundtrack to Titanic, and we all know what happened there.
Yes.
Yes. The penny whistle did not ever leave us.
Yeah.
Now, tell me the truth. Do you know the penny whistle solo from Titanic?
By ear. Only by ear. I've never looked at the sheet music. I'm proud of that fact.
Are we going to get you to play the penny whistle solo from Titanic on this episode?
No.
All right.
No. You'd have a better chance of getting me to play the music from the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. It's not. It's no.
Also mentioned on this episode.
Yeah. I no. The Titanic. Such an amazing film for the time as far as the quality of the special effects and everything, and some of the music was great, but God, it was so overdone at the time, overplayed. It was like, I still haven't recovered.
I love that we are possibly giving other films more review time on this episode than we are the actual film that we're here to discuss. Because we're like, oh no, it's great, go watch it, let's talk about other crap.
Well, that's the beauty.
That's the problem though with something that is genuinely great.
Yes.
There's so little to critique that you're just like,
do you think that...
Damn, it's good!
Do you think that the innocence of a lot of the first-time movie director, new screenwriters, you get some newer actors, younger actors who are trying out with a few, well-trained actors to help guide them, good character actors who don't have the egos to follow that. Do you think that just sort of, hey, let's just do what we love approach that seemed to permeate in this film might have made this work? Because it almost has like an innocence of youth where it's just like, I just love this, let's just do it kind of approach that works so well.
Yes and no. I'm not even going to say it's the innocence of youth. I'm just going to say this is the innocence of people who just want to make some beautiful art and have fun while they're doing it. So let's come. It's very much the feeling of let's go put on a show. Let's just go have fun and do it. It's that feeling that you can have, honestly, in community theatre with very old hats at the game, and you have something with that beautiful, as you just said, innocence of youth feeling, no matter how old the players are. So I would say it's just love of the game really permeating this, and not first-time screenwriter, first-time director, because they had to show that it was good as well. Because, you have first-time directors, Tom Stoppard, for instance, who make less than great pictures. But you also have first-time directors who make terrific and wonderful pictures, and that get talked about for the ages. And first-time writers tend not to get their first screenplay shot and made into a movie. It is amazing to get any movie or TV property made, let alone for it to actually be good. So actually, to be good is next to a miracle level, but it's something that we've come to expect, sheerly because of this pure numbers getting thrown out at the studios and then out from the studios to us. That eventually something's got to be good, and this happened to fall into that luck category. They had everything going for it, and they also had a terrific editor on it.
Oh, yes. Yes. Actually, that is a very good point. Talking about the editing in here, there were some shots that I think other editors would have cut sooner. And there are other shots that they just seem to be the perfect length. It was great.
I think you just got a text message.
Yeah, I did.
That's staying in the show, people.
It is.
Why? Because we are lazy.
Yeah, I mean, that probably somebody saying, "Hey, have you seen? Remember that movie 10 Things I Hate About You? We need to watch that again because God, I missed that." And
yeah, it really is. That'd be hilarious, honestly. Like, hey, Andrew, I really want to do this. Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah, the interesting thing. I mean, this is a very rewatchable film. It's incredibly rewatchable.
It very much is.
Like you said, there are a lot of really good, subtle nods to Shakespeare throughout that you might not see in the first. Actually, you won't see in the first viewing. You'll a few viewings, you'll still see some, and it's still. I mean, just I don't know. I'm trying to think if I would ever get sick of this film. I probably would.
Here's how popular this film was in 1999. So 1999 was the year I graduated from high school. My literature teacher gave us extra credit to go see the film, come back with your movie ticket, write a review on it. The following semester, it came out in October on DVD. The following semester, in my Shakespeare class, we watched 10 Things I Hate About You. And it says, we're going to watch, it was a twice-a-week class, on Mondays and Wednesdays, and she said, on Monday we're going to watch the original Taming of the Shrew, and on Wednesday we're going to watch 10 Things I Hate About You. And we're going to compare and contrast. And, this is brilliant, love it. And just so much fun. But that was the immediate esteem that English teachers and literature teachers and Shakespeare teachers already had for this work.
Yeah.
They said, this is a faithful adaptation of Shakespeare, not in terms of the language or even all of the plot points, but in terms of the feel. It has the proper emotional tone to it.
Is that your take too? Is that your take too on this? Okay.
100%, absolutely. Because, as you were saying, let's go capture the mood of each scene and translate that.
Okay.
This does that on a macro scale as well, not just scene to scene, but as the property as a whole. That it has the silliness and also the real emotional stakes at play. When she is bereft, she learns the reason Patrick was interested in her in the first place, and then she writes that beautiful poem. That, by the way, not an easy thing to do on the part of the screenwriters. To not just reference a work, but then have the work that they're referencing be in the piece. And that's, oh crap, we got to go write this now. That was good. And it is just a remarkable feat of filmmaking, of storytelling, and of adaptation, that you're watching it, and if you have any familiarity with Shakespeare at all, you said, yeah, this is obviously Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
And it's just brilliantly done, and I cannot recommend it enough.
Excellent. Okay, well, I mean, I'm only going to mention one more thing about this before we call it.
Okay.
I want to point attention to the final shot when they pan away from the lead actors and go around that amazing school.
Stadium High School,
Tacoma, Washington, and they pan around that, and they have Letters to Cleo, the band, up on top, playing a show on the very top of it, and this helicopter just kind of goes around. This was before drones, everyone. You have to realize that. So the helicopter goes around that and and buzzes them. I mean, it's like Top Gun. They buzz the tower. They just buzz right by them a few times. The musicians.
It's like an OK Go video.
Yeah, I mean the musicians said it freaked them out, and it was the scariest thing they've ever done in their lives. It was crazy. Just, but it was such a really good exclamation point at the end of the film. A great visual, and the music just worked so well with the feeling of the whole movie that it just it was such a. It was a ballsy thing to do, because at the end of a movie, you don't normally have the budget for things like that.
I would argue that it was inspired by Branagh's ending of Much Ado About Nothing, which we talked about. Well, for those of you watching this in order, last week.
Yes.
This is the last movie we talked about.
We'll be referencing Much Ado About Nothing in a lot of Shakespeare adaptation film reviews in the future, because they did it right.
But the final shot, which begins as a crane shot and then goes up into a helicopter shot, and if you ever see the behind the scenes for how they did it, is kind of amazing for it. But I'm rather certain that shot, that closing piece with Letters to Cleo in 10 Things I Hate About You, is directly influenced by Much Ado.
I hadn't thought of that, but I think you're right. I mean, now that you mentioned that, it makes perfect sense, because it was just a few years before, and everybody still
when
raved
they were
about
made,
that
it was
film.
only about a 5-year difference.
Probably less with pre-production. So I'm sure they looked at it and was just like, can we do something like that? And that's where that came from.
But make it even crazier.
Do it our own way. Do it a modern way with music like that.
So not having the budget to do it at the end of the film, here's a question, because, no secret, movies are often, if not usually, shot out of sequence, saying, what's the most expensive thing? Can we do this? Let's do it now, before we spend all the money.
But also, when you have actors or music groups that are going to be inside the movie, you don't normally do a dangerous shot like that at the beginning either. So I don't know.
It's the last day. If you die, we will remember you.
We still have the movie in the can, and we get a slight bump in promotion for the film. So
and at the top of the movie, we'll say, for Cleo.
Yes, right, and that's it. I mean, you don't normally do the dangerous stuff at the beginning. I'm gonna say that.
That's dark. That is dark.
But so are insurance premiums. So I'm just saying.
Oh goodness. Oh well.
So
any final thoughts?
Well, I mean, not other than just this is a movie that surprisingly a loose Shakespeare adaptation that is almost a must-see Shakespeare adaptation. I mean, I wouldn't normally say that, but for this, yes, I think you really need to see this. I really think I really think this is a must-see.
All right, fantastic.
I'm going to give this a full throbbing member of approval. And if you don't and if you haven't seen the movie, you will not get that reference.
Oh! I was going to be a little more
obtuse,
and just say I'm going to give it an entire marching band.
Well, that's a throbbing member.
That's fantastic. Oh my god! All right.
I mean,
let me see if I can say this with a straight face. Hi. I will also give this a full throbbing member. You couldn't keep a straight face.
No, I couldn't. No, and that's a reference to Allison Janney's character, of course, who was part of the little side plot, was that she was spending her time not just as a guidance counselor, but also as a writing erotic literature on the side. And it was, yeah. And sometimes she was doing it while talking to students, and it was a little weird.
I want to go back and just ex post facto give Alison Janney every possible award for everything. I want her to get an Oscar for this one 21 years later. I want her to I want her to have everything. That's what I want.
And Oscar awards are never fair. They never are, because usually there are many people who deserve it and a lot of people that never get it. And so as long as I look at it as Return of the King. I'm going to go back to Lord of the Rings again, where it won the Best Picture Oscar, not for Return of the King, but let's just be honest, for the trilogy. Really? Gonna just do it.
Yeah.
If we get a copyright notice, I'm coming after you.
Well, all I can say is, I'm not sure if you can see this piece of art at the back, but I think I'm quite ready for another adventure. Friends, thank you so much for watching Shakespeare Reviews today. We had a lot of fun doing this episode, as you can tell, and I hope you had as much fun watching it as we did. And if we enjoyed it twice as much as you did, then you enjoyed it half as much as we did. And that's just called math. And that being the case, go and like us on all of our social media. You can follow Life's Affair on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the places. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/lifesaffair. And you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Patreon. On Facebook, I'm Shakespeare Approves. On Instagram, I'm Shakespeare.approves. And on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Shakespeare. Andrew, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Irish Bard, and on Patreon, patreon.com/Irish Bard. And you can also find me at theirishbard.bandcamp.com if you'd like some of my music, because I do music. Who knew?
He does. I know, like right there.
Yeah, I know.
That was music.
Some of it I write myself. It's crazy. So yeah, please check that out.
So friends, we will see you next time. And remember, you're just too good to be true.